In 2024, the S&P 500 returned 25%. The average investor who held US stock funds earned just 16.5. Same year, same funds, an 8.5-point gap. The second largest in the single year for over a decade. Here's the strangest part. This isn't new. A research firm called DALBAR has been measuring this exact gap every year for 32 years. They publish a study comparing what your funds returned with what investors actually earned. And the answer is almost always the same. Investors earn less than the funds they own. Over the last 20 years, that gap adds up. On a $215,000 portfolio, it costs you close to $291,000. Money your funds made that you never saw. Today, I'm going to show you the data, the 3 behaviors driving the gap, and the 2 fixes that close most of it. Let's go. I'm Tony, a CPA and financial planner here in Canada. I'm glad you're here. I want to spend time on this today because this is one of the most important numbers in personal finance, and most people have never heard of it. If you're new to the channel, this is part 2 of a behavioral investing series. Part 1 is linked below. You'd think a 32-year-old study quantifying a $291,000 problem would be everywhere. It isn't. Most investors I meet, including the financially literate ones, have never heard of DALBAR. So today, you're going to. So who is DALBAR? DALBAR is an independent US research firm that has been around for 50 years. Since 1994, they've published an annual study called the Quantitative Analysis of Investor Behavior, or QAIB. That's a mouthful. The QAIB compares 2 things. 1, the return of equity mutual funds, and 2, the return investors actually earned in those same funds. The way they measure investor returns is important. They use net cash flow data, actual purchases, sales, and switches each month, not a hypothetical buy and hold. So the gap they measure isn't theoretical, it's what happened. The gap is persistent. It shows up in every asset class and nearly every year. Here are the numbers over the most recent 20-year window the study reports. 2005 through 2024, the S&P 500 returned 10.35% a year. The average equity fund investor earned 9.24%. That's a gap of 1.1 percentage points a year. That sounds small. It isn't. On a $215,000 portfolio held for 20 years, the difference between earning 10.4% and 9.2% is roughly $291,000. The fund made that money, but the investor didn't get it. So where does the gap come from? DALBAR points at 3 behaviors. Number 1, panic selling. Selling after the market drops. The data is unambiguous. Investors typically sell near the bottom, which both locks in the loss and means they miss the recovery. In 2024, equity investors withdrew money in every single quarter, and the largest outflows came right before the biggest rallies. Same pattern every cycle. Number 2, performance chasing. Buying funds that did well last year. The S&P Persistent Scorecard tracks this directly. Out of every top quartile US active equity fund as of December 2020, not a single one stayed in the top quartile over the next 4 years. Not one. Top performers tend to revert. Buying last year's winner is not research. It's expensive. Number 3, market timing. Waiting for certainty before investing. There is no certainty, and waiting costs. JP Morgan looked at 20 years of S&P 500 data and found that if you missed just the 10 best days, your annualized return was cut roughly in half. 6 of those 10 best days happened within 2 weeks of the 10 worst days. You can't be out for the bad and in for the good. They're often the same week. Here's what makes this so hard to solve. Every one of these behaviors is completely rational in the moment it's made. Selling when the market drops 30% feels like protecting yourself. Buying last year's winning fund feels like research. Waiting for certainty before investing feels like wisdom. None of them are irrational. They're just expensive. That's the trap. If the behavior felt stupid, you wouldn't do it. It feels smart. That's why it's so consistent. That's why it's been measurable for 32 years in a row. And that's why willpower alone doesn't fix it. The fix has to be structural. Quick favor before I get to the dollar cost and the fixes. If this is making sense to you, hit subscribe. I publish one video a week breaking down this kind of thing for Canadian investors. Pension stuff, TFSA strategy, RRSP timing, the actual numbers behind the choices. The subscribe button is right there. Okay, back to it. Let me show you what 1.1% a year actually does over 20 years. Because percentages are abstract, dollars are not. 3 starting balances, all held in equity funds all over the last 20 years. $50,000. At the fund's return of 10.4%, you'd have $359,000. At the investor return of 9.2%, you'd have $293,000. Gap, $66,000. That's a year of retirement income. $100,000. Fund return takes you to $718,000. Investor return, $586,000. Gap, $132,000. That's a paid off mortgage in most of Canada outside Toronto and Vancouver. $215,000. Return takes you to $1.54 million. Investor return, $1.25 million. Gap, $291,000. That's the headline number. Your kids' education. 6 years of retirement income at 65. A lake house. Whatever you want it to be, it's real. And here's the thing. Those are conservative numbers. If you're younger and have 30 or 40 years of compounding ahead of you, the gap is bigger. Okay, 2 fixes. Both are structural, meaning they take the decision out of your hands when your hands are likely to make the wrong one. Fix 1, automation. Not invest when you feel ready. Automatic contributions on a fixed date every month, regardless of what the market is doing. Dollar cost averaging removes the emotional timing decision entirely. You stop trying to be right about when to buy. And that's the win. Because you and I are bad at being right about when to buy. Fix 2, an investment policy statement. This sounds fancy. It isn't. It's 1 page written when you're calm. That says what you do, what you own, and why. And what would have to be true for you to sell. 2 sentences, 3 sentences. If you can't write down clearly why you'd sell, you don't have a strategy. You have a feeling. And feelings during a 30% downtown are how the gaps get created. The IPS is the version of you when you were calm, overruling you when you're scared. Let me show you what this looks like over 25 years. 2 people, same fund, same employer, same starting amount, same monthly contribution. The only difference between them was 4 moments. Sarah ended with $847,000. David ended with $312,000. Same fund, remember. $500,000 apart. Here's what happened. In 2008, the market dropped almost 40%. David sold. Sarah didn't even open her statement. One decision, about $300,000 over the next 15 years. In 2015, a hot tech fund was beating everything. David moved his contributions there. Sarah kept buying her boring index fund. Tech reverted. The index didn't. Another $70,000. In 2020, the COVID crash, David moved to cash to wait it out. The market recovered in 5 months while he was still waiting. Sarah's automatic contributions kept buying through the bottom. Another $100,000. In 2022, when bonds and stocks dropped together, David stopped contributing entirely, just for a year. Sarah's automation didn't ask her permission. Another $60,000. 4 decisions. Each one felt completely rational to David in the moment. Each one cost him real money. And the structural reason Sarah didn't make any of those decisions is that her system didn't give her the option. The automation kept buying. The IPS told her in writing what would have to be true for her to sell. And none of those things were true. The decision was already made when she was calm. She just had to not override it. That's what the gap looks like in real life. Not one big mistake, 4 small ones, spread across decades, each one feeling like the smart move. If you've ever sold in a downturn, chased a hot fund, waited on the sidelines, I need you to hear this. Every one of those decisions made complete sense in the moment it was made. It is not a character flaw, it is wiring. 30 years of data confirms that the wiring is universal. The goal isn't to shame you into being a better investor. The goal is to build a structure that takes the decision out of your hands. So your future self doesn't have to be braver than your current self. You don't need more discipline. You need a system. Now, I want to leave you with something genuinely encouraging. Because the data tells a story most people are missing. Last month, in April 2026, DALBAR released their 2026 report, covering investor behavior through 2025. And for the first time in over a decade, the gap shrunk to almost nothing. The S&P 500 returned 17.88%. The average investor earned 17.16%, a gap of just 72 basis points, less than 0.75%. That's the third smallest gap since 1985 and the smallest in 13 years. 1 year doesn't break a 30-year pattern. The gap will widen again, probably in the next correction when the wiring kicks in. The 20-year average is still 1.1% a year. And that's the number that matters for retirement. But here's what I think is happening underneath. More people are using target date funds. More plans auto-enroll. More investors hold one diversified fund and leave it alone. In other words, more people are doing the structural thing. Automation, simplicity, no decisions in the moment. And the gap is responding. That tells me the fixes I just described to you actually work. Not in theory, measurably, at scale, in the real data. You're not fighting human nature alone. You're joining a quiet shift that's already showing up in the numbers. If you found this useful, here's the video I think you should watch next. It's the companion to this one. This video showed you what the gap costs. That one shows you how little you actually need to invest each month to build real wealth. $300 a month done consistently is more powerful than most people realize. Together, these two ideas, invest a modest amount and don't sabotage it, are basically the whole game. Subscribe so you don't miss the next video. I have linked the DALBAR study source in the description if you want to read it yourself. I'll see you in the next video.